And we are back, and just in time for Father's Day. We checked out I Love My Dad from 2022, rated R, with a runtime of 1 hour and 36 minutes. This is streaming currently on Hulu and comes to us from writer-director James Morosini, who is also Franklin in the film. According to IMDb, a hopelessly estranged father catfishes his son in an attempt to reconnect. This is tagged as dark comedy, psychological drama, comedy, drama, and romance. If you look at the trailer for this, it seems like it's going to be straight up comedy. However,
that's some catfishing right there.
Yes. This film should come with a trigger warning because it also deals with the aftermath of an attempted suicide. The main character, Franklin, is probably a depressed young man who has at one point decided that he wanted to kill himself. So when we start the film, we start from the vantage point of the father, played really spectacularly by Patton Oswalt, as this man who is constantly trying to connect with his son. You hear the phone messages that he's consistently leaving. And then from there, we jump to the Franklin character, who seems like he's in a support group.
But they're all like excuses as to why he actually
can't show up for his son. Yes, absolutely. And I think in past, we've described Patton Oswalt as that fine line between man-child. He's definitely aged from his King of Queens days, but the character that he plays, Chuck, definitely walks that line. I'm going to go around the table and get impressions. I'm going to start with myself. Yes, I think the trailer is very misleading. It comes across as more of a funny film, but once you delve into this particular story, there are some layers and nuance that were kind of unexpected and make this film a little bit darker. So I think audience should be prepared for that. Having said that, I still enjoyed the watch. I do agree that it was a catfish job here because it's not what it was advertised. However, I think the film is still strong enough and plays well enough that it does what it needs to do. And I think that the performances were all great. The story is interesting. It's something that happens, but it's probably something that we don't talk about enough. And I think that parts of this are cringy. They are hard to sit through because there is a lot going on. But I think at the end of the day, if you can stick with the film, I think you're in for an interesting, fun, yet thought-provoking watch experience. What do you say?
Yeah, the trailer definitely misleads you. I thought this was just going to be a fun, ridiculous comedy, and this was not it. The comedy was... It was of the cringe variety. Whenever there was a comedic element, it was of that cringe variety where something was happening that you didn't want to happen.
Yes.
But there it was. It does get pretty dark. It does get pretty depressing as far as what this kid is going through and the lengths that Chuck has gone through to maintain a relationship with his son. He chooses the most unethical route to go.
Yes.
But it's sort of like, in his mind, he needs to be there for his boy because...
And that's important.
It's important.
However,
but he is also... He is sort of like...
Yeah,
he is sort of simultaneously a part of his son's depression, but now he's trying to be more part of his son's life, which he was absent for quite a bit of. And it seems like at this point, it's almost too late because his son has already written him off. He's blocked him on social media. That's what sort of triggers this whole thing. One of his coworkers just kind of mentions the idea of, you know what I do when somebody blocks me? I just make a fake profile, get them to friend me somehow, and then I can just keep tabs on them.
Mm-hmm.
Chuck goes a bit further.
Yes.
He makes the fake profile, but he ends up getting in a romantic relationship with his son.
Right.
I don't know if he intended it to be a romantic relationship, but
I don't think so either.
His son is a really lonely, damaged guy. And for many people, that loneliness makes them seek out, like social media and going online is a way to alleviate that. It's kind of low stakes. It's easy. It's passive.
And you can totally come back from your own shortcomings shortcomings on social media because you can create a whole new persona. You can be that outgoing person. You can be that champion.
And everything you say, you could manicure. So if you start typing the wrong thing, you could just delete it and retype it and delete it and retype until you get the right thing. And that actually kind of happens as far as like what Chuck is doing, because there are several times when he's trying to figure out what to write. And then there's that absolutely horrible sequence where he's sexting with his son, and he's doing it by sexting with his girlfriend and then taking what she says, transferring it to the son, transferring what the son says back to the girlfriend. So neither of them really know what's going on.
Right. And he does slip.
He does slip at one point, but he tries to cover it up, and I guess his son's inexperience allows him to do that. But that's horrible, especially because of the mechanism that they use. It's not just people reading words off the screen. It's like it becomes almost real in the son's mind. He's like living it. The girl is there in the room with him.
Right. I thought that was an interesting mechanism in storytelling, how when he has these conversations with her, she's an actual living being in his space.
Right.
When you see him jogging or whatever he's doing and he's acting all weird.
Yeah, she's dancing alongside him.
She's dancing alongside with him. And in his mind's eye, this is all fine.
Right. Yeah. Well, that I think helps illustrate how real it becomes for some of these people, that reality is not for them. They need that online world. And by projecting it into the real world, the filmmaker is showing how real it is for them.
Well, I also think it's generational. Obviously, this young man is way younger than us, and generations after us, this is kind of the norm, right? You and I remember being thrown out of the house and told, don't come back till dinner time.
Yeah.
And sort of making your own adventure.
Yeah.
And being bored was not a curse, right?
Yeah, and there were consequences to the things you said and did.
Yes.
That were like real consequences.
Right.
Now it's just, all right, well, I'm just not going to continue this chat anymore.
Gee, I want to go to you. What did you think of the film?
I honestly didn't like it.
No, why didn't you like it?
It was ridiculous and weird, and it made me uncomfortable.
Okay, fair. If they had reined it in a little bit, would you still have negative thoughts about it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, I didn't like the ending.
Why?
I don't think that what Chuck did is a forgivable offense.
Okay.
I don't know why he wrote that letter saying you should move in across the street. What the hell?
So if this had been you would have been like, no.
Cut off forever. That's ridiculous and gross. And he was manipulating him. There's a whole scene where he tells this made-up story about the girl's dad dying from a heart attack. And it was like, oh, through the whole experience, I realized I love my dad more than I love my mom. No. Anyway, no, I didn't like the movie.
All right. Could anything have saved it?
Probably not. I just don't like movies like this where a character lies for extended periods of time because I'm always stressed out about when it's all going to come to light.
But in a way, Chuck does pay a price.
Yeah, but it's not severe enough because why did Franklin forgive him at the end?
Well, I think maybe Franklin, because of the experience, he is now not the same person that he was before the suicide, right? So things are going to impact him differently. And I think having the relationship with Becca also changes him because, in a way, she's more his friend than anything. She was a confidant. She was a cheerleader. They eventually get into sexual, but for the most part, they're friends. And I think that he felt comfortable. And I think that he realized that his father was willing to go to these severe lengths to have a relationship with him. I'm not excusing it, and I don't think that Franklin is excusing it either. But I think that by sending the note to Chuck, it was his way of offering this olive branch, like, I'm willing to try. I'm willing to do this again with you because you are my dad. I
really don't care.
Okay, fair enough. Olive G, what did you think of the film?
It was bad.
It was bad?
I had to tap out.
Yes, I saw. It got very cringy for you. You got that secondhand embarrassment.
God. It was genuinely awful having to watch whatever that was.
Okay. Did you like any of the characters?
Hell no.
No?
No, I didn't like any of them. None of them were cool or whatever.
All right. What did you think of the Becca character?
What
The
is
made
there
up
to
one
say
and the
about
real
her?
one, I guess. Just what are your
The
impressions?
real one has literally no character, and the made up one is just weird. That shouldn't exist.
Okay. What did you think of the Jimmy character, the friend from The Office?
There's honestly nothing to say about Jimmy either. I mean, like, I feel like he shouldn't have given Chuck the idea in the first place.
Well, I don't think Jimmy thought that he was going to run with it the way he did.
Yeah, that too, but like,
I mean, he also could have created a profile as another dude, like, oh, I like gaming. I see that you like gaming, whatever. They could have talked about stuff.
genuinely,
Maybe that could have saved the film.
Like,
if they didn't
it-
introduce the romantic aspect between fake Becca and Franklin.
Mm-hmm.
That just made everything so much worse.
It would have been better if Becca was a man, so that
Right.
Becca wasn't Becca and was just some guy.
Right.
I mean,
that he
in
could
a-
friends-
In a sane world, that would be it, but then that wouldn't be a story interesting enough for a movie.
Fair.
You need to have weirdness and craziness and
High
people
stakes.
making terrible decisions. If you don't have that, you don't have the conflict necessary to tell a story. Overall, this film isn't really for me. I was hoping it would be a light comedy because I wanted to have a couple of good Father's Day movies. And yeah, I could tell by the trailer, there's going to be like a cringy aspect to this. But I thought it would be lighthearted. As soon as they start mentioning that the son wanted to kill himself, I was like, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah, that's dark.
How are you going to spin this into, oh, it's wacky hijinks?
Right, right.
You're not. This is a serious story about depression and a father trying to help his son in the worst possible way and for the worst. Like Patton Oswalt's character it's like he's doing it for two different things. One, he wants to help his son who's going through this, but he also wants to selfishly be a part of his son's life in the way that he was. Like, I think in his ideal case, it would have worked out how his coworker did it. He would be able to just keep tabs on him, and that's it, and he would have been fine.
Mm-hmm.
But his son kept talking to him, and he kept basically egging him on. The persona he picked was the completely wrong persona. He picked some very attractive girl who's doing all these pictures of herself in bikinis and whatever. The son was extremely lonely, extremely awkward. You could see that he was not equipped to cope or act in the real world.
Right.
You see that in the very beginning when there's clearly a girl in the therapy group that he likes or
And
he's
she
attracted to.
And she
And she
recognizes
seems to be
him,
somewhat reciprocal to it.
but he won't
sees
act
her
on it.
and she's like, oh,
Hi, Franklin.
hi,
or
Franklin.
take care, Franklin.
Take care. And he just sort of smiles awkwardly.
Right.
And this
and
was,
it's across a parking lot, so she probably didn't even see it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, he could have just said something. He could have had a actual connection with this person because they went through the same thing. They're going through the same thing. Maybe they could be support for one another. He even looks at her online for a hot second.
Right. Right.
But then it's, oh, this one just friended me out of nowhere.
right. And he's super suspicious in the beginning.
He's
Okay.
super suspicious
I'm
in the
gonna-
beginning.
I'm gonna block you.
Rightfully so.
Right.
But he is still who he is. He's extremely lonely. I don't know if he really was going to jump off the roof at that moment.
Right.
He says he was just kidding, but we don't know, and it's quite possible that he was.
because then you have the scene in the pool.
Yeah.
Right.
So this fictional character is like a lifeline to him. It really was just the worst persona that Patton Oswalt could have picked or Chuck
Yeah.
could have picked.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's an interesting story, but I was not expecting that. I feel like I was kind of broadsided by that. Yeah, so I'm torn as to whether or not I like it. This is definitely not a family film.
No.
We've once again gone against the name of this podcast. It's definitely not Father's Day movie.
I mean, I enjoyed it. I think there were things,
It's an interesting story,
It is an
but
interesting
I
story,
felt
and I think that there's growth for both characters. I feel
Yeah.
like having this experience changed Franklin, but it also changed Chuck. and they both came out stronger and better on the other side. Are they perfect? No. Are they going to make mistakes? Of course.
I mean, severe trauma will do that to you.
Right,
and
exactly.
This was that scene in the diner was absolutely
Agony.
traumatic for everybody involved.
Yeah. And me, and I'm not even in the scene, and I was just like, oh.
And I'm wondering, like with the end, the only thing I could think of to justify the end, like, because I could see G's point.
Yeah, sure.
How could you forgive him for this?
Right.
That moment occurs after something happens for Franklin. Like in the beginning of the movie, there's a scene where Chuck is sitting at his desk and he looks at his son's profile and it's just gone for him. You know, this profile is not available. And he realizes, you know, his son has pretty much blocked him out of his life and he starts crying. Later on, at the end, you see Franklin, he's at work. Things seem to be going well. He comes home, he sits at his computer, he looks, and it says Becca's profile no longer exists, and he cries. And maybe, I don't know, maybe in his mind it was, did he have some sort of empathy for his dad in that moment that maybe this is how he felt when I shut him out. It's not quite the same because Becca never existed.
Right.
But it's still, in the online world, it was roughly equivalent. This no longer exists.
Right.
Whereas for one person, it was your son no longer exists. The other person is your quote unquote girlfriend no longer exists.
Right.
So he does what he does. He sends the letter, and it's not really it's all good. We're going to be buddies now. It's just sort of like,
hey,
okay, I've given you the opportunity to do something that you claim that you want to do.
Right.
It's up to you now. And he's just sort of standing in that window looking down at his dad, and his dad's sort of looking up at him.
Right.
Will anything result from that? I don't know. That's another story.
Right. But it's a start.
It's a start, and I'm wondering if that is the justification for that ending because, yeah, like G said, I don't know, I would say 9 out of 10 times, you are dead to me. I never want to see you again. But who knows? Allegedly, this was based on a real story. Who knows what the real story ended like? Right. Or if this was just some sort of, we need a happy ending. Let's just slap this thing on there.
Sure. Right. So, I mean, this is why I wasn't as down as everybody else at the table about it, because I felt like you go on the hero's journey and both heroes have growth. I think that from where it starts, Franklin is very naive, very fragile, but by the end, he seems to have worked on some coping mechanisms to get him through the day, because depression is a bitch and it's something that you constantly have to struggle with. So he is now employed. He's still living at home, however.
And he's employed thanks to his dad.
That's another thing. This is a gift that was given to him. And it was funny because when he gets the compliment, the person that's giving him the compliment is like, don't thank us, thank your friend who really went to bat for you.
Yeah.
So there is growth. And it was interesting because we don't know what led to the suicide, right? It could have been a myriad of reasons, right? And it was interesting because when he comes home from work that night, he barely acknowledges his mother and he just goes upstairs to his room.
Yeah.
So I wonder about that relationship too. It can't just be that Chuck is the bad guy. He doesn't even live in the same house with this kid for years. Yeah. He's in a different state.
Yeah.
So whatever this young man is going through, it's like a blender full of things. So I'm sure that the rejection from his father for all these years didn't help, but it couldn't possibly be the only thing.
Right. I'm sure there was other stuff going on.
Right. So you have to take that into account. And I think that by the end, he's in a better place. Has he completely forgiven his father? Probably not. But he's willing to extend that olive branch and have a relationship with his father now. And I think the same goes for Chuck. Chuck spent years just avoiding being a parent for whatever reason. And he has this opportunity to really make an impact for his son. And he decides to take it on. I'm going to bring my son to meet this girl. And he knows it's fake, but he's hoping that their experience together, that their time together kind of offsets, because ultimately he's going to have to come clean.
Possibly. I think a part of him also did believe that he
could get away with it.
No, that he would introduce them and that they would fall in love or something like that.
Yes.
That's why he was so upset that he found out she had a boyfriend, that he even went there.
Right.
And I don't know what he was trying to do in that moment.
Yeah, that was really weird.
I think maybe he was trying to gauge how serious the relationship was.
Possibly.
I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Does anybody have anything to add before we wrap it up and I get numbers? Anybody? Bueller?
Nope.
This movie was buns.
All right, I'm going to start with me. Scale of 1 to 10. Not the best movie, not the worst movie. I thought it was entertaining. I thought the performances were all strong. The story was interesting. The script was good. And it's not a long film, so there's that. And yeah, I think it's just interesting storytelling. You don't really see films like this. They exist, but this particular way of telling the story and how it's told and the elements involved, I think it's more in line with this new digital reality. So these aren't plentiful stories, but they're out there. And from what I've seen, I think it's decent. I think if I was going to give this a number from 1 to 10, I'd give this like maybe a 6.5. What do you say?
I would give this like a 6. It was good. It was okay. But you don't believe that trailer.
Yes.
The trailer that they have online for this movie is a lie. It's a straight up lie. This is not some wacky, fun comedy.
Yeah.
It's an interesting story. It's a very twisted, morally unethical story. But, it's well told. So yeah, I would say it's not bad. It's more
great,
it's more on the good side. It's all right. Patton Oswalt is fantastic in it. The main actor, he's good. He definitely playing a depressed young man. Yeah, 6.
Gigi, what would you say 1 to 10?
Probably a 4.
A 4. Olive J.
3.
3. 3, 4, 6, and 6.5. All right, I think the table's divided. You figure it out. It's playing on Hulu. And before we wrap it up, I just want to give a shout out to the dads that show up every day, that are there all the time, that do things, maybe things that aren't easily identified as a good thing, but everything that they do out of love. I appreciate all of you, and I see all of you. And to my dad, who is no longer with us, I miss you, Dad, every day.
I'll never catfish you kids. Don't worry.
Thank God.
You better not, or else I'm disowning you.
Oh, and to all the new dads, and in particular to my buddy Nick, happy first Father's Day. And with that, we'll wrap it up.
Don't forget, you got to like and subscribe.
Oh, yes, please.
And
like
comments.
and subscribe and comment.
Let us know what you think about this movie.
Let us know what you thought about I Love You, Dad.
Or I love my dad. Think about this crap show.
Aw. I'm sure somebody likes it more.
Some people love cringe.
Yeah.
Like they love that sort of humor.
Yeah.
If that's your thing, this
is for you.
Be like a feast for you because it's too much.
Yeah.
It is literally too much cringe. Okay.
And it's funny because we've seen that Ricky Gervais show, Extras.
Oh my God, this makes that pale in comparison. This is brutal.
This takes the cake and the cookies.
Yeah.
And all the pies too.
I like that. I gotta use that.
Yeah,
all right, I've said good night like 3 times. All right, and with that, we will bid you all a
good night.
Good night.
Happy Father's Day and good night.